After over 25 years of marriage, we've learned that successful couples have great friendships, put each other first, and focus on light just as much as love. We believe marriage should be fun and easy.
Our goal is to share our journey with the hopes of helping others build strong, happy relationships. Join us as we continue to create our lives beyond I do.
Do you and your partner want to learn simple ways to grow closer?
Do you and your partner want to grow happier together?
Do you and your partner want to be a unified front?
Do you and your partner want to divorce-proof your marriage?
If you answer yes to these questions, you need to check out our book, Unlock It Forever, 10 Keys to a Successful Marriage Beyond I Do.
Each section focuses on a different aspect of marriage and briefly describes how we handled it in our relationship. At the end of the section, you're given an action step or key to complete with your partner.
These keys are practical steps you can immediately implement in your relationship and help you and your partner be proactive and intentional about your relationship.
You can purchase your copy on Amazon.com.
And until next time, we will holler at y'all.
Before we get into our episode, we want to share this disclaimer. We are not marriage counselors, nor are we mental health professionals. We simply want to share with you what has worked in our marriage. Now, on to our episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond I Do podcast. And on this episode, we have special guests with us. We have another couple with us. We have Marquis and Taylor joining us from the Windy City. And they're going to tell us all about their love story and also share a little bit about their podcast, which is called
Stuck With Me. You stuck with us.
Stuck With Me.
Stuck. I like that.
All right. So if you would, thank you for joining us. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourselves individually, and then we'll start with the love story.
Well, to start out, thank you for having us. So,
thank you for being here.
My name is Marquis Williams. I'm 34. I like to play basketball, read. I'm a real estate appraiser. Big Bulls fan, Big Bears fan. I'm in love with this beautiful woman.
Aw, don't start already. Okay.
And my favorite pizza is Supreme Pizza.
High five, best one.
Right.
All right, Supreme.
That is my one goal, to visit Chicago to eat pizza.
Yep.
But that's sidebar for me because I'm greedy. I'm sorry. And Miss Taylor.
Hi, my name is Taylor Poindexter Williams. I am 31 years old. I like to read a good book, a long walk on the beach. No.
Y'all got beaches up there?
I'm just kidding. Best way I describe it is I'm just a woman of many talents. I'm a big avid music head of old school genre, new school. And I'm an aspiring DJ at night. During the day, I work full-time as a quality assurance agent. And I like to say I'm Marquise's better half. We're like Velcro. You don't see one too far without the other. So I'm his partner in crime, his better half, his calm and peace. He's my calm and peace, actually.
Oh.
What other titles do we have for each other? We have a lot. Oh, and of course, co-host of the You Stuck With Me podcast with them. So,
and I was waiting to see if we were going to hear a song, because you open up your episodes with songs, but it's okay. They'll have to go to your podcast to hear.
Well, I mean, hey, I can, as the show progresses, I have a song for you.
I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed. All right, so we've heard a little bit about the two of you individually. So I have been, we purposefully, when we did our little meet and greet, we didn't ask too many questions about how you met and how you all, because we wanted to be like our listeners and we wanted to be surprised. So if you all would let us know how Taylor and Marquis came about.
Well, before Marquis gets started, I have to preface this. I have to say there's 3 sides. There's his side, the truth, and the truth.
All right. Touche.
Okay. All right.
You want me to get you your cap now, or you want to wait till later?
Hey, whatever. Hey, okay. I'm just saying. Hey, there's 3 sides.
All right, and one of my sides is the actual truth. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, this is not the time to play pretend.
So
I should be telling you that.
We can hear the truth and then Marquis's version, and then we can decide which one we think is the real truth.
Okay.
Yeah, see, y'all hear that? She said my truth and then the truth, and she didn't even talking about the third part.
It's okay. The truth is more than one truth in this. But go ahead and start the story. I love it when you start your stories, though.
This is set up, man.
This is us all the time. It's all love.
So to start off our love story, we actually went to high school together. I was a senior and she was a freshman, but we actually saw each other the year prior because the junior high school was attached to the high school. So we would just see each other and not think anything about it. So when the next year she started high school, I was already in high school. We would see each other more because our school was so small that students were taking classes with different grade levels. Mm-hmm. So we actually had gym class together first semester. She was sitting in the bleachers talking to one of her friends, and me just being the comical senior that I am, I walk over to her and she's pointing, and I just go, that. And then I don't know what she said or did after that, but I just got up just being comical. So weeks later, I just see her down the hallway. I'm thinking to myself, she's cute. Let me see if I can ask her out. So I decided to ask her out to a movie. 2 weeks later, she was gone. When she came back, she didn't even tell me no. She never gave me an answer. Yeah. So my graduating year of high school, I had to hold that L.
Oh, wow.
And you're sharing it. I love that you are sharing that, but because you won in the end.
So you never, you asked her out in school and never got an answer.
So she essentially ghosted you to your face.
Yeah. Wow.
She ghosted me in the same school, in the same hallways every day.
Oh man! Wow.
Now, see, this is where there's holes in this that need to be fixed. Okay, so you actually told more the truth this time.
What do you mean more? I tell all the truth. Matter of fact,
so everything was right except for the ghosting part. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to one of my best friends on the bleachers. He comes to me, pulls up under my sleeve, talk about that, fix all that. Okay.
What? Oh.
So
I said I was a comedian in high school.
He was a comedian.
You were brave too.
Yeah.
You were brave.
I was because she could have got up and chased me around the gym.
Yes.
Yeah, I was so caught off guard, I didn't chase him. So the part about me ghosting Marquis, it was not on purpose. So around that time frame, I had got sick. I had missed a lot of school. Like I was really sick. And out of sight, out of mind. So I didn't think nothing of it. And then Marquis won't tell you that I was actually dating somebody at the time.
What?
I had a boyfriend.
A what?
A boyfriend.
A what?
We're not doing this right now. Out of sight, out of mind. So I'd always tell him if he really wanted to answer from me, how come he couldn't be more persistent? Like, hey, remember I asked you out? I noticed you've been gone for a while. What's up? He never did that. He just let it float away. So after that, years passed. He went away to school. I went away to school. I actually went out of state. I went to Kansas State at the time. He stayed in. You was in state then, right?
First, I went to Wilberforce in Ohio for a year. Then I went to Northern Illinois the rest of my collegiate career.
Yeah, so by that time, he was in NIU. So he's a member of Phi Beta Sigma. I'm a Zeta. So we're constitutionally bound. Right. So he found out that I became a Zeta exactly a year after he became a Sigma. So on Facebook, he was like, "Oh, congratulations, soror, welcome to the family, all this." And we had started, being in each other DMs for a while on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And by that time, I graduated. I moved back to Chicago. I started a new job, and I came across the Chicago Greek picnic? NPHC picnic. And at first I wasn't going to go. My mom was like, "No, go out, have fun. You young, go out and mingle." And I'm like, "No, I'm not really feeling going out to the picnic." But she pushed me. So I went out and then I ran into Marquis. I just see this 6'5" man with the bucket hat. And I was like, "Marquis, is that you?"
And I was bucket hat crazy at that.
He was bucket hat crazy at that time. And we just walked around the whole park just catching up, and then, well, as they say, the rest is history.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So you
won.
So you didn't even have to wait. You waited 6-7 years for an answer?
No, it was 10 years. 10 years.
Wow.
I had to mature. God said we wasn't ready for each other yet. I had to go out there to learn what life is like so I could be more prepared for you.
Ooh, that was smooth.
Good answer. I like that.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
That was real smooth.
I mean, and there's truth to it because, you never know what could have happened then. And something real juvenile could have been the reason of the breakup. Mm-hmm. And y'all could have been mad forever. But here y'all are. Yep. Taylor and her other half. So how long have y'all been married now?
July 16th of this year will make 2 years.
Oh, and how long did y'all date before you popped the question? I hope you did. That was another question I had because I hope you did a better job than some people. Oh. So how long did y'all date before you were like, this is it for me?
Almost 5 years.
And how did you, was it a big thing? Did you know this is it? I'm going to do it. Were you nervous?
Well, she loves when I tell the story. So I'm going to tell the story. So, I like to see her smile when I tell it.
Yeah, I like it when he tells the story. It's like one of my favorite love stories.
So one of my fraternity brothers, he just got engaged prior. And I was there when he and his wife first met. And so he posted on Facebook, so I said congratulations, and we had a little conversation, and I said, give it 2 years and I'll be ready. Little did I know at the time that I was manifesting this. Mm-hmm. I was just speaking what I felt. Mm-hmm. So 2 years later, one of my friends who was, he ended up being one of the groomsmen in our wedding, he gets engaged. So I really started thinking about it. And so I had to talk with my dad, and I had to talk with my mom the first time. The first time, my mom didn't believe me. She didn't believe me at all. So at the time, me and my dad, we would go walking in the morning for exercise. So I went back to talk to my mom a second time after talking to my dad a second time. And she said, "Oh, you serious?" I said, "Yeah." Mm. And so we had our talk, and then the part that she loves about the story of my dad is I was, back and forth about it. He asked me 3 questions. He said, "Do you love her?" I said, "Yes, I'm in love with her." He said, "Has she always been there?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "So what you waiting on?" Just like that. Just like that.
Yes.
So up until that time, this was during the middle of the pandemic. So we weren't able to see each other because at the time I was still beginning the stages of the leukemia battle, and she was working at a hospital, so my immune system was compromised, so I couldn't be around a lot of people. But my mom, at the time I was living with my mom, and she was tired of fighting with me, trying to see her and trying to take care of me, make sure that I make it through this. So we ended up, we were just having a conversation. She said, we don't take enough pictures. And at that time, I was already thinking about, I'm like, how am I going to propose to her? And then when she said that, I said, okay, boom, a photo shoot. So I called up one of our sorors. She doesn't know her, but I do. We went to school together, and she's in photography. So I did a photo shoot for her by myself years prior. So I asked her about it, set it up, and she didn't know about it. So this entire time, I'm setting it up, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, how am I going to propose? So I went to my friend who was the one who just previously got engaged before we did. I asked him how I'm going to do this, but you got any suggestions? He said, you're an athlete, right? I'm like, yeah. He said, have you practiced? And I said, no. Well, the reason why you don't know what you're going to say is because you haven't practiced. So my mom leaves the house for something I don't remember, but when she was gone, I was downstairs and I was practicing what I was going to say, making sure that I was smooth with it, make sure that it came out fine. Took me about 4 or 5 times before I got it right, but so come the day of the photo shoot, we do about 6 changeovers. Was it 6?
Oh, I think it was 5.
5 changeovers. So we get to the end of the photo shoot, and she's going to change her clothes first. So I go to our sorority sister and ask her how she's going to do it. She's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull her forward and take pictures of her by herself, and you go behind her and get in position. I'm like, okay, cool. Oh. So she finished taking pictures of her. She turns around, she sees me with the ring in my hand and on one knee. She's like, oh my God, are you serious? Are you serious?
Ugly crying, everything.
I'm sorry. Ugly crying, snot, everything. Oh. So I reach out my hand to her because she's backing up. So I start to say to her, I said, Taylor, I love you, and you mean the world to me. Throughout everything, you've been there from the diagnosis to the recovery, and you've done everything that I needed. I have one question for you. Will you make me the happiest man in the world and be my wife? She's like, and then so me and our soror were like, can we hear a yes? Yeah, she's like, yes. So I put the ring on her finger, and we were newly engaged October 10th, 2020, overlooking Lake Michigan on a rooftop.
Oh. Yeah, the speechless, big dog. Yeah, the speechless.
Aw, I'm gonna cry ugly tears. That's beautiful. Now,
yeah, you did 100% better than I did.
We're not gonna talk about it, but we're still together. We're
not gonna bypass the fact that her look said it all.
Right, her look said it all. Like we're not gonna talk about it.
We were in a different situation.
Right. We did everything different. So I mean the proposal kind of matched the situation. We got pregnant and then moved in and we got married a week before our son was born. So different the proposal matched all of that. It was something. But we still together. That's all that matters, I guess. So
that's what she likes to tell me when I say 10 years. She's like, well, we're together now.
We're together now. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter how long people sat. 2 weeks, 5 years, 10 years, we're together now.
That's right. That's right.
And that whole movie thing, it's time to move past that. I know y'all
just like to mess with her about it.
Y'all been to plenty of movies since then.
Oh yeah.
So you mentioned an illness. And so if you would touch on that a little bit, because that happened while you were dating.
Yes. So about 2 months into us dating, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia.
It was a month.
Oh, I'm sorry, a month.
Yeah.
A month into us dating, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, which is a blood cancer. So
Taylor, a month in, even though y'all knew each other, but a month in dating, was there something that told you, I'm going to stick around? or was it a hard decision a month in?
Honestly, it wasn't a hard decision.
Mm-hmm.
I get this question a lot. Because that's what kind of our basis is of our podcast, is to share our unorthodox love story, as we call it.
Yes.
So to backtrack a little bit, that whole year was just horrible. Like, I had 2 deaths in the family months prior to that. I lost my grandmother January of that year. Then my mother passed. What was it, 3-4 months after that?
Wow.
And then months after that, the diagnosis happened with Marquis.
Oh.
So Marquis was there. One thing I'll say, what I adore and love about my husband, is that he has a nurturing side. Yeah. And around that time, this is before we was even dating. Like, we were still trying to figure out what we was going to do.
Yeah.
Right. And we had a disagreement. We hadn't talked to each other for, was it 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for 2 weeks. And I remember I sent this text to him. I was like, hey, I'm sorry that I haven't talked to you. I know I don't even remember what we argued about. We don't even remember what we argued about. But I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I haven't talked to you, whatever like that. My mom's at ICU. I don't know what's about to happen. And I just sent it to him, and he was like, I'm on my way. So he was with me all the way until her passing. And then he actually stayed with me for a while too, so I can get adjusted to being in the apartment without her and everything like that. So fast forward to the diagnosis. I never had a doubt in my mind to leave Marquis, because I always had the foresight of, he's going to beat this.
Right.
I never really saw him as like sick or anything like that. So as I see him as he is now, I always saw him like that. I always pictured him as that tall guy I met at the picnic. Like, I knew he was going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, there was a couple times where I was just like, oh God, like what lesson you trying to teach us out of this, right? It was like, it's hard. Like, I remember when I first found out, I called my sister. I was like, I pretty much consider myself a strong woman, but if something had to ever happen to Marquis, I don't know if I'd be able to handle it anymore, because it was like, oh, grandma gone, mama gone, and now finally found the love of my life, my soulmate. Now we got to go through a trial and tribulation. Like, what's going on here?
Wow.
And so the diagnosis and treatment, how long did you go through treatment, and how are you now?
I went through treatment at the time before I was able to go back out in public. It was from September to February. So February, I was able to go back out in public for the first time. In the first place, I actually wanted to go because I had my eyes set on it, was to go see Black Panther. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have the shirt on.
Mm-hmm. That's the first time?
Very first time.
Yeah, that was the first time.
So that year, I was able to go back out in public, went to see movies. We actually traveled a little. We went to Kansas City that year. And then during my time when I was recuperating, I picked up playing competitive Madden. So while playing, I was watching other pros and just like, okay, I want to do that. How do I do that? Did my research. I'm like, okay, because everything's going on, I'll wait till next year. So the summer came in when we went to Kansas City. We went to Atlanta. And then in August, we went to our first competitive tournament in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, wow.
So it was a 2-day tournament. I made it to the second day, and I lost in the first round. So while we're walking around trying to stick around to see who wins the entire tournament, she tells me that she's hungry. So we go to the pizza bar because it's at a pizza bar with an adjoining gaming lounge next to it. So as we're sitting at the pizza bar, we hear a pop, and everybody in the pizza bar just gets quiet. And we're looking around like, oh, there must have been a balloon. But then it's like, wait a minute.
There's no balloons
here. Next thing we hear, pop, 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 pop. And so we started rushing for the exit. So we realized there's a mass shooting going on. So between us, we were probably about 20 or 30 feet away from the shooter, but 10 feet away from the door. And even us trying to get through the door, we weren't the first people to get. It was like we were like the middle of the pack. So I was actually between us, the first one to get out, and I started running. I thought she was behind me, and then I turned around, I didn't see her, and then I heard her say, "Bang!" I turned around, and look, she is hobbling out with no shoes on because she sprained her ankle. So I run back to grab her, and then we get to safety. We find this elevator, so we're pushing the button on the elevator. It doesn't open. And then we see this guy open the rear door to the restaurant that was next door. And we're saying, help us, help us. And we don't know if it was a language barrier or not, but he actually tried to close the door. And one of the tournament runners comes around the corner and said, hey, let us in. There's an open shooter going on. So we all run into the restaurant, us three, and then realize that there's about 4, 5, 6 other people behind us. And we immediately hide in the bathroom. Now, while we're in the bathroom, we're all getting low on the floor because we don't know whatever the guy is shooting has the capability to come through the wall.
Right.
So we're in the bathroom for about 30 minutes to about an hour. And the entire time, I'm trying to make sure that she's good. Her ankle is swollen. So she sits down on the toilet and she keeps her legs propped over the toilet paper holder. And so while I'm making sure that she's good, besides the ankle, eventually I'm like, okay, let me see if there's a police officer or a fireman or EMT that can come get her, because by that time we stopped hearing shots. Mm-hmm. So eventually I was able to find a paramedic, police officer. And while walking, I asked him, was anybody seriously hurt or did anybody die? He said, we have 3 casualties. And the first person that came up was one of the players that we were initially talking to prior. And the only reason he was the first person that came to mind was because he was the first one sitting in the hallway where the shots started.
Mm. Oh my gosh.
So 3 people died, including the shooter. After the shooter shot he didn't get everybody he was trying to shoot because he had intended targets. One of them actually got up and left because he lost the same round that I did. And he went back to the hotel and went to sleep. So 2 people who were shot, after he stopped shooting everyone, he turned the gun on himself and killed himself.
Was it over the tournament?
It wasn't over the tournament. It was, from what we understand, he was being made fun of by other players, and he wasn't mentally right.
He wasn't. He was mentally ill. He had been off his medication for some time. He actually was sent to live with his father because his mother couldn't handle it anymore. She was trying to get him to stay on his meds, but the father was like, my son is fine. So a mixture of that, and he used to get made fun of all the time. So that. But after all that, we finally get back to Chicago. I think I want to say, what was it, a couple days after that? Like probably a week later.
The next day.
No, I'm talking about when we found out that he came back. Oh yeah, it was a week.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So because of everything that transpired in Jacksonville, at the time, the leukemia was in remission because the way my body reacted to all the traumatic stuff.
And being worried about me.
The leukemia came back.
It came back.
Oh my gosh.
So fast forward to July of 2019, I am getting ready to undergo a stem cell transplant. Mm-hmm. So if you're not familiar with the way a stem cell transplant works or goes, you have to have a match. And initially we had a few matches, but they all fell through for some strange reason. At this point, I look at it as God saying, no, they're not it. I have the one for you. So eventually we did do the stem cell transplant, and I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So the stem cell transplant was successful, and I literally lost 96 pounds between the end of the stem cell transplant and Christmas. It took me till Christmas to gain all that weight back. So when I went in, I was 247. By the time Christmas came around, I was 171, 161, so somewhere in there. So I looked like I wasn't eating and I was malnourished and everything. But once after Christmas, I started to regain the weight, regaining my appetite, sleeping better. So during that time, after I became well enough to be able to go back out again, COVID hits.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
But
So all this happened before you guys got married?
yes.
So the best way I describe it is we went through sickness and health before we said I do.
Yes.
And
definitely.
death.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, y'all can't not stay married.
No.
Like y'all.
That's why we say
Wow.
stuck with each other. We stuck with each other.
Because at this, I mean, like I can't even think of a reason why you wouldn't be together. Like,
like
one thing that y'all constantly, each thing y'all have referenced, family and friends. So the support system that you have is tremendous. I mean, the support you have for each other, but each step you're talking about family and friends. So do you think that's been very important with the success of your relationship?
I think it plays a huge part in it. Yeah. Because, from thinking about it, from my dad saying what he waiting for to us saying you stuck with me to friends saying, you guys are, the epitome of a relationship. Y'all been through it all. And it's like, we wouldn't wish this on nobody.
We accept the compliments when we get that, but we always say we don't aim to be like couple goals or relationship goals, right? Because not everything what works for us don't always work for everybody else, right? So we always say thank you for the compliment, but
we don't want the couple goal.
No, we want everybody to do what fits what was tailored to them, no pun intended.
Right. And that's I like that. But that's how we are. We're like, we want to be open with how we've done things and what works for us. But at the forefront of that is do what works for you.
Exactly.
Stand firm in it, because I think, like, when I'm listening to you talk about friends and family, our friends and family are supportive, or have been supportive. But one thing that we've tried to do throughout our marriage is to rely on each other first and foremost. And we turn to each other. And I think that's been a very important thing in helping us, because that's how you earn trust. That's how you, I can be vulnerable with him and tell him. Sometimes, aside from vulnerability, I can be very mean. And sometimes I have to tell him stuff that I can't tell other people because they'll think, kind of serial killer. But I can tell him. And he'll say, yeah, I can see.
I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting the serial killer.
See you. So, but I can tell him those things, and he's like, "Yeah, I see that, baby." Now, I don't know if in his head he's thinking, I hope she never gets mad at me.
I'll tell her like, "Hey, nah, you was wrong with that. You wrong."
Right? You will. Or no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's my gauge. Yeah, he tells me. Like, there have been times when I would get upset about something, because I grew up as an only child, and I'm used to having my way, and I like it that way. And so something will happen and I don't get my way, and I'm angry, and I'm saying choice words, and I'm like, am I wrong? Yeah. You are. You're wrong. He said, you can be upset, and he tells me the human side of things, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's calm down and bring it back in.
That sounds like us. So I'm my mom's only child, but I'm my dad's middle child. Like, I have an older brother and a younger brother. So growing up, I always used to be around boys all the time. So it's like, when I was younger, I had this tomboyish phase. I had it really bad, real bad. But as I got older, I started to be more into my femininity. I feel like with Marquise, I can be soft.
Right.
So I don't have to always be the hardcore. As I say, I was a gangster before I met Marquise, but now I'm an emotional gangster. So
You forgot,
There you go.
you forgot the girl.
yeah. So
I have
that's
to cry down on somebody every now and then emotionally.
right. I'm not a killer, but don't push me,
There you
but
go.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with him, that's why I always say he's my common piece. He's the one that can really calm me down. Like, hey, he'd be like, hey, babe, just take a breather. You don't have to go pow pow all the time, So
that would be me.
Yeah.
When we first got together, if they messed his order up,
Oh man,
you could see him start to sweat.
look, we were bad restaurant. I was like, Lord, y'all, please do right. She about to go off, but they were now her and mama together. Oh my goodness. Good times, boy. I had to step to the side, be like,
But they gonna get your order right.
They finna go off.
You gonna get your order right. I have calmed a lot in my older age.
You guys have a fantastic story. I mean, and y'all have a fantastic beginning. And honestly, looking at you guys, I thought you guys been married 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. When you said 2 years, I was like, 2 years? What? Look like y'all been together, but the friendship is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we said talking the other night. Our friendship has sustained us a lot because it gave us that respect for each other to where we're like, yes, anybody can leave. Anybody can get up and leave, try to do something with somebody else. But, that respect for one another is what keeps us, grounded and keeps us together. So, and I see that you two have that. I mean, I just, through the screen, just y'all having that.
Y'all like each other.
Yeah, y'all
and
like
that's something that that we feel as, if not more important than love, because like is what makes me wake up and look at him and think, I like him. When we say we're best friends, we're best friends. We hang out. So we can tell that that's the same with Taylor and her other half.
Yeah.
So tell us, with your podcast, how long have you all had your podcast and how did that come about?
Well, we've had our podcast since October of 2022. So one of our friends, we were just sitting around and we were talking about stuff that we gone through. And
He's reflecting on stuff too, because I think we had talked about we went through a lot.
And they were like, y'all should write a book.
And I'm like, we're not at that age or that mindset to write a book. Nobody has time for that right now. But we'll do a podcast, So we just sitting here. We already knew how we want the setup of the podcast, like how we want to format it and everything like that. But of course, when you create something, anything like a child or a job or anything like that, you always have trouble coming up with the name, right? So we tried a whole lot of names, like, I don't know, random stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I got it. How about You Stuck With Me? So You Stuck With Me came. That was one of the first things I told Marquis when he first received the diagnosis and he first got discharged, before he got discharged out of treatment. I remember we was sitting in his hospital room. He had a nice room too, like overlooked like the football stadium, everything.
I could see
University of Chicago, like all that.
I could see Lake Michigan, the beaches,
Lake Michigan, all that
skyline.
And I was just like,
I could almost watch the Sox game if I wanted to.
Yeah. And I was just telling him, like, look, man, I don't do this for everybody. I don't do this for everybody. Last time I did all this for real, my mama was still here on earth. You have special treatment. And, that's just, so one of our quirks is we always find a joke out of everything. So I told him, I was like, look, you need to get your ish together because I'm not doing this again with you.
Yep.
You stuck with me. So I was like, you know what? Why not name it You Stuck With Me? Because it's talking about our unorthodox love story and how we always say he stuck with me and I'm stuck with him. I'm not going anywhere.
it works two ways, like she said, and then it's like through a pandemic, through a mass shooting, through a cancer diagnosis, and everything in between. You stuck with me the entire time, and you never left.
Now you mentioned children. Is that the next? Is that the next journey?
Yeah,
It is.
Y'all said, you know what? We hadn't been through enough.
It's funny that you say that because she has a goddaughter, and we were actually just messing around in the living room, and I made a video on Instagram. It's on my personal page,
and it's on the podcast page too, right? Oh no,
I don't think it was on the podcast page yet. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, y'all, me and the wife are about to go through our toughest challenge yet. I turned around and had her and the toddler in the background, and I was like, a toddler, but she's the cutest thing.
Let me tell you, a toddler, an infant, a school-age child, a grown child. It's different phases, but the foundation that the two of you have, you're gonna need that. So it's good that you have that. Have y'all, like, do y'all know you want this many, or you just gonna start with one and see how that goes?
Oh, I want twins.
And I want boys, so.
I want twins. So he wants boys, but I'm like, whatever God provides, hopefully he'll do it in my favor with the twins.
I say let's break even. You have the twins, I have boys, and we call it one.
Oh, wait, so you want me to have more than twins?
No, I'm saying you have twin
boys, or either a boy and girl. That would be ideal. Have a boy and girl, and
I can only imagine a little her. She's like, who you calling mama?
Let me tell you, it's nothing like that mirror to look in and see yourself reflected. And it comes up at times when I would get on to my daughter and I'm telling her, you need to pick up this room, you need to do this. And then it would flash to me as I was young.
I don't know how to pick up it.
So that is your greatest mirror.
And then the funniest thing is when you're getting on to them and you hear your parents through you, like, hear it as you're saying it. God, I don't want
I've said some things to other kids who are, doing something, and I'm like, oh my God, I sound like my parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I already start thinking about all the stuff my mama used to tell me. She used to, I don't know what it would be. She'd be like, either with bills or whatever. She'd be like, just keep living. I feel that now.
And my grandmother would say that to me, and I find myself repeating that.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing like experience to teach you, and sometimes to whip you into shape.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting up here listening to my parents talk about being grandparents. I'm like, y'all let my kids get away with murder, but you would try to hang me from a tree.
And the grandparents are ready for grandkids. They're ready. They're like, so what you waiting on?
Let me tell you, my mama had a living room, the formal living room where on the time we be in there as a company come over. We sit at that bad boy one day, and my son is like sitting on the couch, standing up on his feet and stuff. I'm like, sit down, boys. That's all right. There ain't nothing but some furniture. And I looked at her like, it's furniture.
Right.
Is this the same furniture that you lifted me by one arm?
Exactly.
It beat me for just touching. I mean, come on. But yeah, they get away with murder.
Right. My mom passed away in 2015. My kids, though, they had a full nanny experience with her. And one of the last times she and I really had words about it, it was like 8:00 in the evening and the doorbell rings. And I go to the door and she's there. She has a work shirt, so you're just getting off of work. And she said, the kids wanted to go to the store. What kids? They said they needed their coffee and their creamer.
Yep.
My kid?
Yeah.
Oh, they're not going nowhere. They're not going. It's 8:00 at night.
You go home.
From here on out, those things need to come through me or him. They don't just beckon you. But she came from work and she's gonna take them on a grocery store run. Yeah. Me on the other hand, do you have coffee, cream, or money?
I'm telling you.
You better get some milk. Well, I wasn't gonna be drinking coffee.
Drinking
coffee as a kid.
They knew not to ask us because
right.
It wasn't gonna happen.
Right. So
that is hilarious.
That sounds about right. My grandma would did that with me.
Isn't that right? And that was the thing. So, we're a little bit older than y'all. And I remember when Happy Meals came out, and we lived around the corner from the McDonald's. And my grandfather, he was a man of few words, but he would be asleep in his chair and his belly would be poking out, and I'd walk over and put my hands on his belly and wake him up. And I'd say, I want a Happy Meal. And he'd fuss, but he'd get on up and take me to get a Happy Meal. So I was treated that way as well. But that was part of the reason that I didn't want my kids treated that way, because I feel like in some ways it almost stunted some growth. The power bill, when I call them people, they don't care who I am. They don't care that I'm the oldest grandchild, the youngest grandchild. I don't care about any of that. They just want their money. And so there were times when we could rely on my mom or my grandmother, but we probably shouldn't have been relying on them so much. But there again, being young and making grown-up decisions.
Yep. So as far as like your family connection, now we talk about on our podcast about, the importance of having, the togetherness, you two are one. And we talk a lot about, she's number one, I'm number one in her life, so that, when we have issues, because they will come up, as they do, we make sure that we try to handle them as much as we can between each other, and not go bad mouthing about the other two family members. How good of a connection you guys have with each other's family? Like, I know Taylor, your mother's passed away, but you and the father get along, Marquis. How's y'all's relationship?
Well, unfortunately, both her parents passed away, but I did get to meet my mother-in-law before she was my mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. So from what I do recall, she was a very beautiful woman, very a fashionista.
She stayed with a purse and a good heel.
But as far as the rest of her family, I have no issues with them. They have no issues with me. They know that I'm going to go to the lengths of the earth to protect her. Her friends, ironically enough, also went to the same school we did, so I know them well. I know one of their older brothers. He was a year ahead of me. Yeah, everybody's cohesive. Issues. My little brother adores her.
Well, I was getting ready to say, even though both of my parents have passed on, I have a lot of cousins on my mom's side in particular. So I have a few male cousins. They're like my father figures. So when Marquis started to come around, they were like, okay, look now, like, what is your name? What are your intentions and everything like that? Yeah. Because they're very protective of me, because they even my older lady cousins too. One of them, she lives in Mississippi now. She came and visited us last summer. And she was like, I'm not going to interrogate you, but I want to say thank you for holding down my little cousin, because even though this is the baby out the bunch, this is the one that's been through a lot. Like the embodiment of a strong woman. And sometimes we be worried about her because she's so strong, like she don't want to let anybody in. So just having him to have that connection with my cousin means a lot. And then also I still have a good relationship with my godmother. So she's like mama bear too. I have a best friend who I've known since like second grade. We call it, that's like my sister. The little big sister, I'll call her. Like her mom is my mom. So it's like that. I still have a village around.
That's good. That's fantastic.
Right.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm my dad passed away the 6 months before we got together. And my mom passed away in 2019. And so, you know, I so wanted, you know, well, she met my dad one time. We were friends. Yep. She did get a chance to meet him, but to have that relationship would have been, and my mother, her and my mother, it was decent. That's why I say about the family dynamic. It's good that y'all have a strong family dynamic because ours was a little bit different. But, you know,
I will say this, though. Me getting along with his mom, it was a little rocky at first. Just a little bit.
And that's probably only because of everything I was going through physically. And not only that, I'm the oldest son, so I'm pretty sure it's hard for mom to let go of the son.
Right.
And she met somebody just as vocal as she is, so.
That. And I think that was
that's what it was.
The thing with his mom.
She talked back.
Right. Right. And sometimes it's a little blunt, but you know, that was, I think that towards the end, she realized, well, for one, we had been together for so long. And I think that she respected that. I think that she realized she was treating me like her mother-in-law had treated her. Yep. And so towards the end, especially the last couple of years, she and I had gotten much closer than when we started. Now, my mom, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. And we've often said if we could take my mom and his mom and
put them together.
Right. Yeah. Some middle ground. Because my mom would move and follow us where we would go, move up the street. And like I said, the kids would call her, Nana, take me to the state. So
you talk to her and be like, yeah, I think we want to do such and such. And then next thing you know, there's a package at the door.
Right.
Hey, yes.
So we had a little bit of both. And but we, like I said, the one thing that helped us is it's us, you know, and if anyone didn't understand that, then that's cool. You can do that away from us and we're good. Yeah. So
yeah, we've always said that. And as far as her and my dad is like, she's the daughter that my dad never had. So like we got him a baseball jersey. He got her shoes. And then we got him shoes. So my dad adores her. He said, you did good, son, because the ones that you brought home before
and he told me this too. He was like, daughter in love. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm glad he chose you. The ones before you, I was like, son.
Right, look, brought some sparklers home, buddy. Hey, I did it too. I ain't gonna lie.
Right. But I always say this. It was just me finding myself what I like and what I did not like and what I was willing to put up with and what I wasn't willing to put up with. I'm like, you know what? I'm good right here. That's why I tell her, like, I'm not going nowhere.
And I don't have the patience to find somebody else. I just don't. Because this was a lot of work.
That's what he said to me one day. And it hurt my little feelings a little bit because you're supposed to want to be with me because you're supposed to want to be with me. But he said, I'm not trying to meet nobody new. You got to learn. But then, I mean, I get it now because I feel the same. You stuck with me.
Man.
See?
Blows right off the tongue.
Blows right off the tongue.
Right.
You know, now
y'all did something with that one.
Now we look on like social media and stuff, see all these issues that people have, and you know,
oh man,
you can't go to Cheesecake Factory for your first date. Can't go to a movie for the first date. Like, what the hell y'all gonna do?
Right. Right.
And see, that's another thing that we like to do on our podcast. We like to dispel all the rumors, all the mess, all the madness with young couples saying that you can't do this because you don't make X amount of dollars. Well, you can't tell me what to do because you don't make no money at all, period. So,
and we had to debunk that theory. I had to say on our podcast, we did have an episode about that. I'm like, what's wrong with Cheesecake Factory?
Right.
Yeah.
And like for us, it's all foreign for us because we've been married for so long, but also we were so young. He had a long-term relationship before we got married. I had something before we got married, but like the idea of adult dating, like I never had that. You didn't either. Not like meet people and then go. Like we didn't have that.
A whole lot of that.
So to hear some of those things, it's really odd to me that you're gonna be that picky over somebody. There was a one where the girl said the guy cash apped her $30 for lunch, and she was upset.
Yeah.
And
she expecting $100 or something.
What the heck?
It was $100. I saw that and I said, okay, you know what? Send me it back. You starve.
Right.
Exactly.
In that order.
I have to have an appetizer and an entree and dessert. Man, for lunch, you ain't getting nothing else done for the rest of the day because if you put all that food in you,
you want to take a nap. That ice gonna be kicking your butt.
Had it been me, it would have been $10.
He's a bit frugal.
$10. You make it up, Shawty.
That was one of the things he told me. So when we were friends, we would go, there was this Chinese buffet that we would go to. And he was like, I knew then when you went to the buffet and you ate.
Yep.
So I knew then you was the one.
Yep. I knew she was the one.
It was a buffet.
See, I mess with her. She mess with me about it when we go out somewhere. She'll pay, and then I'll pay. And I look at her like, you expensive cheap date.
No, let Marquis tell you when he realized that I was the one. It was a particular restaurant he always wanted to go to. All these years in college. I don't know what the situation was with him and his girlfriend there. He was always wanted to go to Michael Jordan Steakhouse, right? Okay. And he would tell me like, I always wanted to go for my birthday every year, but it always come up. And I'm like, just Michael Jordan Steakhouse? Okay. So I surprised him by taking him to Michael Jordan Steakhouse, which really wasn't.
It wasn't
that expensive. I guess also for the time of day we went to. But just to see him light up like a little kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that.
Because growing up, I was a Michael Jordan head. I'm talking about I had the jersey, the basketball, the shoes.
You still are.
The cars. I still got all of it.
Wow.
So you already know whose side I'm on the Jordan versus LeBron debate.
Oh, yeah.
Same.
Come on. Bro.
Same.
That's not even debatable. That's not even up for debate.
Right. So, I lost that thought. I had an old moment. Oh my gosh, it was there.
I don't know. I don't see how y'all about our age. So,
look,
wonderful.
Marquise's story was truth. he told the truth. Look, he's still telling it. He's still telling it.
Scout Simon.
Well, just like I said before, when we did the meeting, and I was like, I'll extend my hand to you guys, for y'all got plenty of family, so you probably won't ever need us, but feel free to reach out to us if you ever have any questions or want to, talk some junk about each other. Every now and then, complain to.
Hey, I mean, your family now. You stuck with us, so I
don't
know what made you put that in there.
Fun.
Like we got a lot of family. You're family too now. So
okay, I have a random question, and it's gonna be weird. You said Marquis is 6'5", so how tall are you, Taylor?
I'm 5'8".
Oh, okay. So I'm 5'1". So standing next to both of you, I would look like I'm shrinking.
Yeah, I'm 5'8".
Yeah. I was just wondering that when you said 6'5".
Yeah, I'm 5'8", and that's without my hair. So I got my hair braided up now, but usually I just rock like an Afro puff.
Yes.
That adds a couple more inches.
Standing 5'8", 6 foot if you include the hair.
I think actually when we first, because when we were trying to coordinate about meeting, and when we first looked you guys up, and the first video I saw was you had the Afro Puffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sidebar, her and I, when we started talking about our podcast, she actually did mention something about, singing a song or playing some music or something.
Not singing. I'm not as brave as you, Taylor. I love it. I absolutely love it.
That was actually her idea because we were thinking about ways that we can make our podcast unique. While I was sitting there thinking about it, said, well, I know you love music, so we want to tailor it, no pun intended, to her. And then she said, what if we made the podcast episodes, the names, song titles? And I said, you know what? I've never seen that before, but the songs that we ended up picking in some way or another work for the relationship. And, I have my favorites. She has her favorite. My favorite is actually, we did Luther Vandross, Can I Take You Out Tonight?
Okay, so since you mentioned it,
I got to find that one.
Y'all gonna close us out with a song?
Yeah, what song you want to do?
I'm mad y'all looking up at the same thought.
Oh my goodness.
What about whenever you call me, I'll be there. Whenever you need me,
school.
I'll be there. Whenever you call me, I'll be there. I'll be around. Yeah.
See it?
Oh wow.
But y'all got fireworks. Did y'all see that?
We saw it.
I ain't never seen that on Zoom.
Update. Look at that. Yay, very good. Thank you.
That is.
Oh, I got an episode name for our honeymoon. I'm not gonna tell you though.
So for our listeners, I know we've said it, but tell us again the name of your podcast, your social media handles, where they can find you so that they too can be entertained by song as well as the topics that you all discuss.
Want to do it like how we do it on the end of the podcast?
The only right way to do it.
Right.
So you can find us, you can send us emails and questions at youstuckwithme@gmail.com. That is USTUCKWITME@gmail.com. You can send us sticky notes at our Facebook page, You Stuck With Me on Facebook. Instagram, you can do the same thing. You Stuck With Me _podcast. That is USTUCKWITME _podcast. You can find me on IG in the app formerly known as Twitter. On mine _1, that is M1, NE _1.
And you can find me on Instagram in the app formerly known as Twitter under Queen Points. That is PO1NTZ. Again, that's Queen Points, PO1NTZ. And if you want some more behind the scenes of the shenanigans, the foolishness, ridiculousness, the monarchy,
And the
tomfoolery. Because you can't forget about the tomfoolery. You can find us on TikTok before the government shut us down, Yeah. You can find us on TikTok under Queen Points 22. Again, that's Queen Points 22.
And if you want to check out our podcast episodes, you can check us out on Apple. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell everybody, because we like to just talk to y'all, see what y'all talking about.
And also, don't forget about Spotify and the YouTube channel.
Definitely hit up the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it. That is awesome.
Y'all gonna make me ugly cry again. I love it.
Y'all gonna have to send us all that to make sure we got it. So when I do the
Most definitely.
I'll usually do a title page and I'll put all that information up.
Yeah, we'll need to make sure we get those. So thank y'all.
Guys, we have had fun and thank you for just joining us. This has been a ball.
Yeah.
Loving your story.
Yeah.
Loving you guys' energy. You guys are there forever. And I tell you this, if one of you change your mind and decide you want to dip out, I'm coming to find one of you.
My gosh. Not a recorded threat.
Like I said, I'm good where I'm at. I don't want to go anywhere because there's nothing. The dating pool is a cesspool, ain't nothing but crab legs and TikTok in there.
Look, I have the patience. Look, I don't have
You
the
right about
patience
that,
to go
man.
through this again. I don't have the patience for it because it's too many crab legs, too many. I can't take you to Cheesecake Factory. I can't take you to Burger King, like too much. No, I'm good where I'm at.
Y'all good. Y'all can have it. We'll just sit and watch from afar.
Yeah, we'll just watch from afar and sip wine or something.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all again.
If I can't go get you a combo and bring it to your job and you be satisfied, talking about what is that?
Baby, I get excited when he brings me the chicken Caesar salad from Jules. Like that's
Look, when y'all come to Chicago, we'll put y'all on. Y'all be like,
yes.
What sorcery is this?
Don't tempt me with a good time.
I'm trying to tell you.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much. We appreciate it. We've enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Beyond I Do podcast.
Please make sure to like this episode and also subscribe to our podcast. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the Beyond I Do podcast.
And until next time, we will holler at y'all.